Sports panels assembled here at the Steel Toed Brew Pub on East 2nd, just off the Olympic Village in downtown Vancouver. Iain MacIntyre, Ed Willis. Guys, it's draft week in the National Hockey League, and the week of the draft has become so much more than just the draft itself. Against the backdrop of free agency, a week beyond that, so many decisions to be made by all NHL organizations. Ed, where are you looking in terms of hot spots as we lead into this weekend's draft?
Well, there's a couple, and the thing about this year is, and again, it is so rare these deals are made, but there are so many big names in play, and there's so much chatter out there. This might be a year where you think something big could happen. When you have names like Matt Duchene, like PK Subban, like the rights to Steven Stamkos, whatever that means, you know, that is the potential. And then there's another layer where Edmonton might be looking to trade a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, where Colorado might put Tyson Barrie in play, where Kevin Shattenkirk moves. So these are, you know, pretty, not groundbreaking, but they're significant moves within the power structure of the NHL.
Ed mentioned Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I think the Edmonton Oilers are certainly a team to look at, whether it's that fourth pick or whether it's some of that young talent that they've assembled over the years here.
Well, part of their plan now seems to be predicated on the idea that they can leverage one of these young players that they've already drafted, whether it be Nugent-Hopkins or Jordan Eberle. You hear less about Taylor Hall, but I think for the right price, he'd be in the mix too. The problem is nobody, even for young players, is that excited right now in the NHL to take on long-term contracts. I mean, the $6 million a year is one thing, but when you've got 4 or 5 years left, that's a tough sell. And so it's hard to get value, even for a good player that you're trying to leverage. I'm not so sure that Edmonton is going to be able to make this blockbuster deal that people think. I'm surprised we're at the draft and Stamkos is still a part of the Tampa Bay organization. I think back in the fall, who would have expected that? It's interesting recently that Jonathan Drouin officially rescinded his trade request, making everybody think that the Lightning are about to take care of him in a big way, and if they give a lot of money to him, what's left for Stamkos? I just can't see Stamkos hitting the open market without some kind of trade. I can't see Tampa getting absolutely nothing, but here we are this close to July 1st, and maybe that's what they're going to get. Obviously, Toronto, first pick overall, Austin Matthews, that's going to be a hot spot too.
And I think, and we've seen it over the years, and you go back even a decade, the eve of the draft here in Vancouver in 2006, Canucks made the big splash, got Roberto Luongo. In New Jersey a few years ago, it was the Devils making the splash to get Corey Schneider. I think you look at the Buffalo Sabres as the host team, you know, there's that excitement in the building. They've got all sorts of picks. They've got good young players. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Buffalo Sabres do something on their home court.
Yeah, and that you're absolutely right. There was ample precedent of teams. I remember being in Ottawa and them trading up and taking Erik Karlsson, one of the great draft picks of the last 10 years. The other thing, the other sort of variable involved in this is the salary cap hasn't come out yet. Now everybody's expecting it to be around $71 million, and I think people will be shocked if there's any variance beyond that. But it's still, you know, a factor involved in this, and teams have to make. There's an awful lot of guys teams have to make hard decisions on, and that salary cap number might impact some of those decisions.
And that's why we say the draft is so much more than the draft now. And again, we'll start to see some movement this week leading into the first round on Friday and the subsequent rounds on Saturday.